Into a copper hell. Momodi is waiting to brief you on your task. The petitioner ought to be arriving any moment now. God's almighty. Another second under the sun and I would have been set aflame. A tankard of ale, if you would be so kind. Papa Sean. Excellent timing, Papa Sean. It just so happens the adventurer who will be handling your petition is here. So this winsome lass is the much lauded adventurer, is she? Marvelous, marvelous. A pleasure to make your acquaintance, milady. I am Papa Sean, formerly of the Sultan's Sworn. I thank you for agreeing to lend us your aid. Mayhap you'd like to apprise Lavenza of her mission? Yes, of course. The petition in question was submitted by an acquaintance of mine at Amagina and Sons Mineral Concern. It relates to an unfortunate development in Copperbell mines. To be plain, giants have seized control of the place. These giants are of the clan known as the Hecatentures. I think that's how you pronounce it. If not, that's what I'm going to go with. Or, I mean, obviously, if somebody knows the proper way and can inform me. But for now, fearsome creatures who were sealed within the deepest depths of the mines during the bygone Thorn dynasty. Alas, it seems they have managed to break through the layer of rock which served to imprison them, and now prowl the tunnels where the miners ply their trade. The creatures are justifiably angry about their treatment at the hands of our ancestors, and their presence has forced the suspension of all mining activities on the site. It's no wonder they're angry. Didn't the Thorn dynasty come to an end over 300 years ago? You know your history well, milady. The people of that age used the Hecatentures to work their mines, but by way of enchanted helms, they were able to bind the ferocious creatures to their will. But as is oft the way in such tales, these enchantments eventually failed, and the slaves rose up against their masters. In a desperate bid to contain the unbridled fury of the Hecatentures, our ancestors induced the collapse of the mine's lowermost levels. So it was that the great giant revolt was ended, buried beneath 100,000 tons of rock. Well, now, that's got me thinking. I seem to recall there being an article about Copperbell in the Mithril Eye a fortnight or so ago. It said the mines were being reopened so as to meet the rising demands for building materials. Like as not, our boys dug a bit too deep and freed the giants. Gods, to think the poor creatures are still alive and kicking after 3 centuries. That's a long time to nurse a grudge. They must be seething. Indeed, and that makes them a danger to us all. There will be no mining at Copperbell so long as they remain. For the sake of both peace and prosperity, they must be subdued. This is the task which we would have you undertake. I'll not deny that the mission will be rife with danger, but our need is great, and so I beg you, put an end to this sorry business. Nod. Gods bless you. I fear you might have reservations, but I assure you it is for the best. In case you didn't know, Copperbell Mines is in western Thanolin. Do take care, you hear? Ah, and one last thing before you depart. An employee of Amagina and Sons is presently at the quicksand. The fellow's name is Painted Mesa, and he knows Copperbell Mines well. It may behoove you to seek his counsel. Sorry to leave so soon, but my boyfriend is snoring and talking in his sleep next to me. I'll try to sleep too now. Okay, well, thank you for uh, coming by. Yeah, that makes me think there might. I don't know how much my mic picks up of the room around me, but there may be a chance that you hear my dog snoring at some point. Although it doesn't look like she's in here right now. Looking for Painted Mesa? You found him. So you're the adventurer who's volunteered to deal with the mess down in Copperbell, are you? You've got guts, miss. I just hope you've got skills to go with them, because things ain't pretty down there. Oh, I don't know what I... never mind. The hecatontures have left the place in a right state, and nary a week after mining resumed. I don't know if you know this, but Copperbell was old when the Second Ul Dynasty was still young, and it was abandoned centuries ago. If it hadn't been for the shortage of materials needed for the rebuilding effort, the concern would never have thought to reopen it. We know full well about the giants beforehand. We knew full well about the giants beforehand, but the project went ahead anyway. I mean, nothing could possibly survive being buried under a mountain's worth of rock for 3 centuries, right? Wrong. Our miners dug up more than they bargained for. One swing of the pickaxe too many, and they found themselves in the company of giants. Unless we can subdue them, the nation's glorious recovery. Okay, unless we can subdue them, the nation's glorious recovery will grind to a halt for want of aught to build with. It recovery'll, that just messed me up and completely threw me off. These stone torches are keeping watch over the entrance in case the giants fancy some sunlight and fresh air. One of them will be able to show you the way in. The hope of the nation's resting on you, friend. Best of luck. All right. Yeah, just Horizon. So yeah, Copperbell is an interesting one. I wouldn't mind seeing them do a like a harder version of this one. It would need some tweaking though on some of the bosses. There's been an incident inside Copperbell Mines. We are here to ensure that its effects are contained, but for your own safety, I suggest you stay well away from here. What? You're the adventurer who's volunteered to quell the hecatontures? I didn't think that Papashan would be able to find someone so quickly, if at all. The giants are content to wreak havoc inside the mines for now, but it's only a matter of time before they think to come outside. The sooner you see to them, the better. Make ready as best you can and enter at will. I've probably done this one unsynced at some point, but if you're going for a low level unsynced, for like Wondrous Tales or whatever, I think this one is probably the slowest of the first 3. Or at least that's what, my initial thought is and why I've probably never done it. Yeah, I mean, thinking about it, like, I think Copper Bell has like one of the more interesting dungeon designs, at least for the earliest dungeons. Um, I mean, at least as far as it's, while it may by and large be a long, just singular corridor, you know, there's an offshoot there with nothing worth going after. There might be a chest there, I don't even remember. But yeah, so it might be one long corridor. But unlike, I think a lot of the newer ones, it maybe feels a little less so just because of how the, you know, the dungeon looks or whatever. I don't know. Maybe I'm talking out my butt too. Oh, okay. Now I'm... So, like, it's been long enough since I've run this that I forgot, like, what the first boss in here was. Unless I'm thinking of the hard mode boss. That's just a, like a sequence of basically ads that you have to fight. No, yeah, it's this one. There's some ads you have to fight at the beginning, and then the rock golem comes out. This is one I would tweak. Just because it's not interesting just to, you know, deal with some, you know, basically just some easy trash, and then get a boss, I think, with like 0 mechanics, basically. Like, they should have just had the golem, you know, be just a pile of rocks here. Like they are in, I'm sure it's other dungeons, but what's the... Something's Well in Shadowbringers. I'm totally blanking on the name of it. But you run into golems and they're just in a pile, but if there's just like one big pile, and then he, you know, gets up and, you know, he actually has... Oh no, this isn't even a golem, is it? It's a bomb? Do I not even know this, this fight? Is it... I'm thinking now it's not a golem, but it's a hecatinch or a giant or whatever. I think one of the things that kind of kills this one, I think, for a lot of people is the waiting around. And I mean, I know, obviously, I'm in here at max level, but I think even in, like, a regular group, there's kind of, like, it comes in waves, and you kill them all, and then kind of have to wait a sec for it to keep going. Okay, yeah, so it is just a big hecatinch. And if he has mechanics, we're not going to find them out. Like the hard mode one that takes place here, obviously in hard mode, is a little bit more interesting. I mean, it's effectively like the same thing. Like, you're still fighting a giant, but, you know, there's mechanics involved. Although, I mean, again, like, this is... you know, the second or third lowest level dungeon. I just did the first two, and you know, it's the third lowest level dungeon, so they're not gonna, you know, throw many mechanics at you. But again, could you really argue that that last boss, like, even had mechanics? You know, like, just some trash spawning, kill it, and then, you know, finally the boss comes up. Not terribly interesting. And we're going to get to the second boss here, which I know I've heard some people complain about that. I think it's an interesting concept. I just think that it's not executed in a way that would make it really interesting. Although then again, it's like I think, you know, like a lot of the dungeons and stuff have been made a bit easier. I think just because generally the oh, I didn't need that. The player base of this game is more casual to mid-core. Which I mean I'm a part of, but like I like to kind of dip my toe a little bit into harder content. And I don't know if making the mechanics more interesting in some of these fights. I mean, obviously if they did, like I was saying, and created a like a real, just hold up. Of course, it's like I can feel a sneeze coming on, and I'm like, I don't want to sneeze into the mic, and then it goes away. If they just scaled this up to make like an Unreal dungeon, that it's like, okay, this is, you know, like this is made for like the smaller, like a smaller player base, you know, then, you know, generally probably the those that aren't interested in harder stuff won't do it anyway. So it's just I was thinking about, you know, I guess just in the vein, because this dungeon is something that everybody does, if they made it harder. Oh, God, you're not supposed to kill it. What am I doing? What am I doing? But yeah, like I think that this fight, like I think has interesting like mechanics to it. And if they just like ramped up the difficulty a little bit of it, like had, because I think there are Spriggans that eventually I can't quite target the plunger with them there. I think there are, oh, and it wasn't targetable anyway. I think there are Spriggans that, yeah, that do pop up. I think to, like, try to turn off the plunger or something. And if they just ramped up the amount of those, because I remember even when this content was new, it's not like it was hard. You had 1 DPS to just kind of deal with the Spriggan. Where if they had ads kind of popping up kind of more frequently and from different parts of the room, and made it a little bit more of a coordinated effort to, you know, to get this mechanic done, it could be interesting. I don't know, I guess just for me, like, I've gotten so used to, i.e. kind of tired of, you know, just like regular, like, boss kind of tank and spank in a way, like, has mechanics, things you have to dodge and stuff, but it's just dude in the middle of the room and you just beat on him. Like, I think it's kind of cool when it's like, oh, you have to, like, kite these mobs around and, you know, deal with these ads that are trying to, you know, destroy this object that you need to protect. And I think, you know, a fight here or there would, you know, it wouldn't hurt to add something like that. And there probably are a bunch of them, and I'm just completely just brain farting on them right now. I don't know. I guess this whole long tirade has just been about, like, I kind of you know, I'm feeling nostalgic about these old dungeons, and it's like, I wish there was a reason to do them again. And not just, like, in a way like this, but, you know, they were at least somewhat challenging again. Slaves no more. Free! Free! See, this is one of those bosses that I kind of lament. Because I think, like, at least, like, during the beta when the game first came out, like, you still had to do the mechanics. Masters must pay, masters must die, never again, never! But yeah, you still had to do the mechanics of this. Where, like, I've run this sync more recently, and it's, you just burn the boss down. I mean, I know it didn't take long, I think, before people could just burn the boss down, but at least right at the very beginning, before everybody, you know, outgeared everything. I mean, if nothing else, if they could, like... Because in the syncing process, they take you down to the abilities you have at that level. Like, if they're going to keep that, you know, for sake of balance or whatever, then they should at least balance out the difficulty of the dungeons. So they're, you know, these low-level ones aren't just a complete face roll. Because I'm actually curious what brand new players think of, like, these early dungeons. And because I can't imagine, like, if you're like one new player and you jump in here with 3 experienced players, I'm sure it's just, you know, you're just steamrolling the whole thing. You know, like, how fun is that? And it doesn't mean it needs to be hard, but just bump up, you know, it's just bump up like the health and damage of the mobs just a little bit. Okay, and he's at the quicksand, I believe. Oh, am I gonna have to fight something? Into a copper hell. Huh. I mean, that's the name of the quest, but I'd figured this would be a new quest. Ah, the Conqueror of Copperbell Mines. Thanks to you, our mining operations can resume, and Ul'dah will have the materials she needs to rebuild. The entire nation's in your debt, friend. I'll share the good tidings with Papashan the next time I see him. As for you, you'll want to report to Momodi. It'll do the woman well to see you alive and in one piece. No! I think the woman's scream was better than my breaking voice trying to say no. Shut your mouth, you thieving little swine. You stole from me. Don't even think to deny it. Please, sir, I didn't steal nothing. I bought this. Paid for it with me own coin. What rot. You refugees are all the same. Couldn't afford maggoty mole meat, much less a choice cut of dodo. I'm gonna say it. one more time. Give back what you stole, or I'll make you wish you had never set foot in this town. By rights, I should turn you over to the brass blades, you know. Help keep the streets safe for law-abiding citizens. But I'm a reasonable man. If you agree to serve me, in whatever capacity I require, the authorities needn't hear of your crime. Gross. But I ain't done nothing wrong. 12 is me witness. Please, adventure, help me. I beg of you. I swear on me mother's grave I didn't steal nothing. I bought this with the coin I'd saved. I only wanted to treat me children to a decent meal. That animation that the Roganin was doing, always great. And who the hells are you? And who the hells are you when you're at home? The dog's master? That was just a weird sentence. I've had enough of this mummer's farce. You lot, teach them a lesson. Oh yeah, this is synced. I was expecting just a one-hit belch. I'll take care of this. The rest of you can watch. Still not high enough level to add anything to my rotation. Not bad for an adventurer. Ugh, I should have stopped at the 7-tail. Filthy bodyguard. Stop bloom gaping at me and give me a hand, will ya? Gopping at me again. Bugger, bugger, bugger. See, I know this cutscene, and this is one I've thought about ever since doing it. Because it's just this kind of cool, like, you know, hero comes in to save the day moment. And, like, the first time I did it, it's like, pop out that book. It's just like, this is lame. I mean, again, you know, if that's your thing, cool. But to me, it's just so much cooler to just bring out a big ass sword. I ain't getting paid enough for this. Hey, where the hells do you think you're going? Thank you, kind adventurer. Thank you thrice over. Ooh. No, you made me think things. Stop it. I'd swear there were more refugees than when I last looked. And you wouldn't be mistaken. But it's been 5 years since the calamity. Why are they only coming here now? It's simple, really. While a number of hamlets survived the immediate aftermath of the calamity, many were no longer able to support their communities. The residents found their lands had either been rendered barren or cut off from trade routes. And problems like those aren't easily solved. Though they tried to make the best of it, it was only a matter of time before they were forced to abandon their homes and seek a new life in the city. I see. But the calamity affected the whole realm, didn't it? Is the same thing happening in the other cities? If the talk is true, yes. Though perhaps our situation is more pronounced. Ul'dah has a reputation for being prosperous, so it's natural that the refugees would try their luck here first. I wouldn't. I mean, obviously, if you're a real refugee, like, you go where you can, where will take you. But to me, like, the idea of going to a place in the desert, just it's like, no, I'll keep walking and hit Gridania. Uh, my heart goes out to them. It truly does. But I'd be lying if I said that I wasn't apprehensive. I hope their presence doesn't foment lawlessness in the city. Well, if things do turn for the worse, we always have the immortal flames. I dare say the brass blades would welcome their help. The heroes who fought the Garlean Empire, patrolling the streets for riffraff? It may well come to that. Impoverished and desperate as they are, you may be sure that some of the refugees will turn to crime. You know what this place is like. If you've no coin, you've no hope. What will become of our city? Not all refugees are bad, mind you. Some are able to find employment and lead honest lives. Dodo tenderloins. Oh, Dodo tenderloins. Get your Dodo tenderloins. Guaranteed cheapest in Thanolin. Thank you for your custom, madam. Please come again. Looking around, you'd think that Ul'dah was well on its way to recovery. But peer through the veil of prosperity, and you'll see no end to the misery and suffering. God, this stuff kind of hits too real, you know? Madam, are you all right? What now? You mean to threaten a defenseless citizen? What? Saw her buy that meat, you say? That's absurd. Aye, as did I. Leave the poor woman alone, you damnable vulture. Who said that? Grr. I will overlook this, but just this once. God's bless you, adventurer. If you hadn't come along when you did, who knows what that monster might have done. It don't bear thinking about. Ever the selfless hero, I see. Ah, it has been a while, adventurer. I've been watching you closely ever since you flew out of Limsa Laminza. You discharged your duty as the Admiral's personal envoy with admirable humility, and you have displayed unfaltering courage in the face of danger ever since. Whensoever you came upon those in need, you gave them succor, with no thought of personal gain. In summary, you have demonstrated all of the qualities we seek in an adventurer. For reasons I cannot well explain, your every deed seems invariably to serve the general good, whether you mean it to or not. It is a happy knack, and one which speaks volumes for your character. Yet for all your admirable qualities, it is your gift which intrigues me most. I speak of the visions you experience. Visions like the one you had mere moments ago, if I am not mistaken. I can provide you with the means to understand them. An acquaintance of mine is blessed with the self-same talent, you see. If you so desire, I can introduce you to her. She and I fight for a common cause, a cause which would greatly benefit for your support. You don't say. If you would agree to lend us your strength, we should be glad to do all within our power to aid you in your personal endeavors. Think on my offer a while. Should you decide to accept it, pray speak with Momodi, the proprietress of the Quicksand, as a close friend and ally of ours. Inform her that you have been chosen by the Scions of the Seventh Dawn, and she will tell you where to find us. Scenes like that are becoming ever more common, I'm afraid. Don't worry, though. If you work hard, you'll probably be all right. Saying that, if you ever find yourself in a spot of bother, come and see me. Just don't go pestering me every time you graze your knee, huh? Of course, I do enjoy hearing tell of a gentleman's woes with the women folk from time to time. Ah, Lavenza. Sorry to keep you waiting. I was just providing guidance to a fresh off the carriage adventurer. But gods, it's good to see you safe and well. To look at you, no one would ever guess you'd been hard at it with giants in the dark. You're every ilm the adventurer Mione said you'd be, Lavenza. The station master will be overjoyed when he hears the news. Oh, before I forget, there's a lass here who wants a word with you. Didn't actually know your name, but hearing her description, I knew who she meant right away. Ah, Etta. Thank you for sharing the time. I realize you don't know me, but I've been longing to speak with you for a while now. My name is Etta. I'm an adventurer like you, though I'm not very good at being one, if truth be told. Anyway, I was adventuring with my friends in Gridania when... I'm sorry, we were in Gridania when the leader of our party was killed. His name was Avir, and he and I were to be wed in the spring. You may not remember him, but to say that he remembered you would be an understatement. He would sing your praises from dawn to dusk. He saw you for what you are, you see, an adventurer's adventurer, and swore that he would be like you one day. Not with that attitude. I mean, treating your party members like that. I mean, that would suck for him to find out that, like, you know, the person he looks up to doesn't think much of him. I believe that he would have succeeded, had a fiend not robbed him of the chance. Since that day, I have thought long and hard about giving up adventuring. But when I think of the woman you are, of all that you've achieved, I find that I am inspired, just as Avir once was. And so I've decided to start again as an adventurer. I will go back to the village of my birth and begin my training anew. But I wanted to meet you first, to ask you your name. Lavenza Shark. I shan't forget. Thank you, Lavenza Shark. I pray that we will meet again. Fare you well. Adventuring can be a cruel, bleeding business. Time was I didn't know why anyone would bother. When they first asked me to take charge of the guild here, I didn't want aught to do with you lot. Thought it'd be a right pain in the arse looking after you all. But against my better judgment, I decided to accept the post. And I'm full glad I did. I feel privileged to be part of your lives. And that goes double for yours, Lavenza. Eh? What did you say? You want to know about the Scions of the Seventh Dawn? They're beginning to move in earnest, then. Listen, Lavenza, the Scions ain't no ordinary folk, and the work they do ain't no ordinary work. I know full well how capable you are, but even you would think twice about attempting some of the stuff they do. Knowing that, if you're still certain you want to get involved, I'll tell you what I can. So I wonder, I'm sure they do address what happens with Edda between now and Tamtara Hard. I just don't remember. Thank you for watching this video. I've had a great time going back through the story. If you've enjoyed it as well, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and come join me over at Twitch. My link is down below. I'll be streaming every Tuesday through Saturday from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central Time. Thank you again.